Welcome back, movie fans, to another episode of Hollow Victories Out of the Ring. I'm your host, Matt Presents, joined as always by my co-host.
Hello, I am Mackle.
And Mitzi's in this one too.
Yeah, I'm here for no reason.
Not for
I'm
no
not
reason.
gonna be in the other episode.
With Out of the Ring, we've established it. If you showed up for the movie, you're welcome to be in Out of the Ring, right?
Yeah.
So far, Mitzi has been the only one to join for the movie, and it's probably only because I'm showing it in our house, so there's no reason not to.
It's just because I live here.
Although this one, I told you, I wanted you to see this one.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be watching the other two. Or, even if I do, I'm probably not gonna join in on it, because I probably won't have much to say.
Well,
yeah.
If we have guests for those episodes, we normally announce it beforehand, too, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have a surprise guest for Hollow Victories.
This is sort of my, I think Rob Zombie is a director who gets entirely too much hate. And unfortunately, I don't like his Halloween movie. I am going to talk bad about his Halloween movie. But this is my sort of, no Rob Zombie slander in this house. He has made good movies. Let us talk about his good movie. And I'm glad we're talking about this and not Halloween or The Thing, which are two very over-talked about films.
As someone who mainly only knows Rob Zombie for his unique name, I think that I have things to say about this movie. I liked this movie. Visually, I think this movie's phenomenal. There's way too many amazing shots in this movie to count. I was just fucking amazed so much throughout this movie by what it accomplished. It is just a treat to look at.
And that is a compliment I'm going to have to give the Halloween movie as well. It is a good-looking film.
Well, the thing is, he's in music, right? He does, his own music videos, so it's yeah, of course it's gonna be, visually cool. I was, watching this, I'm like, yeah, this looks like a music video. Most of the time I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this looks like something out of a Rob Zombie music video. Yeah, sure. I was like, yeah. This feels more like several different clips from music videos put together into a movie.
I think he's a very good director. I think he's an extremely hit or miss writer. He definitely has his flops in terms of writing. He definitely has his down points in terms of writing. I like his film House of a Thousand Corpses. That one I'm kind of like, no, okay, I get it. I get why other people don't like this movie. Right? That's one where I'm like, okay, this is for me. This is one I am going to like and no one else is. This one, Lords of Salem, we better get into it. I have a lot to say about this film.
I'm pretty sure there's also a haunted attraction named House of a Thousand Corpses.
There was, yeah, it was based on the movie.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Just going off the writing comment real quick, and I know we need to dive into this, but just, I will say, and I don't think it's, necessarily a poorly written movie. In fact, I think there was a lot of scenes where, the dialogue and the way they're moving the story forward did keep me engaged. I'd say the writing was probably the thing I was the least invested in with this movie. That, again, not to say it's bad, it's just to say with less, with the directing not being as tight as it was, if it was made by a director who just kind of half-assed it and made it a television movie special, I don't think I would have gotten nearly as invested in the story. I think it's a decent story. I don't have any strong notes against the story. It's just it's definitely the presentation that really won me over this one. But I think it's a really fucking good presentation.
It's a very visual story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need good visuals to tell this story.
I think this is a testament to that saying is you can tell the same story over and over again 1,000 times, but you're still gonna be the only one who's telling it your way.
Yeah, yeah.
This feels like a very basic, easy to follow story that I've seen 1,000 times before in horror movies, but it's got his own flavor in it, which I like. I like when there's it's you can eat tons of pizzas, but every place has its own flavor, you know?
Yeah.
This film, The Lords of Salem, is about Heidi Hawthorne, who goes by Heidi Lowrock. I believe is her name on the
Rock.
show. Yeah, she's a radio DJ, and one day she abruptly gets a package from a group called the Lords, and it's this weird record, and whenever it's played, weird things happen to women. Throughout this, we're treated to sequences of witches during the Salem witch trials. The story, of course, takes place in Salem, so we hear stories of the Salem witch trials and a coven of 6 witches who left a curse on the town. And the longer it goes on, the more obvious it becomes that Heidi has found herself embroiled in this coven, and it's sort of driving her out of her mind. Things get weirder, more surreal as the movie goes on. Yeah, I mean, what did you guys think?
I really liked it. I had a lot of fun watching it. I did there was definitely I'll admit there were scenes where I think it wanted to scare me and I laughed at it instead. 2 core examples of that would be the scene with the priest. Did not take that seriously. I was laughing at the movie. And then another scene was there's the scene where she goes into this she enters room number 5 and it's this big mansion, and then there's this tiny goblin creature in there. That made me laugh because I thought it looked goofy as hell.
Well, you thought it was tiny? I thought it was Bigfoot.
No. That's a different scene.
Bigfoot was an earlier scene.
Yeah, that's when.
Oh, I
that's
must
when
have
it's
missed
still,
that. That must have been one of the ones I missed.
Yeah, that's when it's just a neon light in a hotel room. There's a scene where she goes in and it's just this massive room, like a mansion. And that, it was making noises that I can imagine, Zach Hadel of Oni Plays and Smile and Friends fame would be doing, but...
Oh, I'm mad I missed that part now.
Yeah, no, he's a weird little guy. I like him,
Okay,
but he's
but
not scary.
Yeah.
There is a part where Bigfoot just shows up, though.
Yeah, that's
true. And there's
true.
no other... He doesn't show up the rest of the movie. He's just there. Bigfoot is just there.
That being said, I did like those 2 scenes. I got a lot of enjoyment out of them. I don't know, horror... I mentioned right before we recorded this, I almost get, enjoyment from watching Disney Channel movies by, poking fun of them, even though I'm just kind of poking fun of them for being what they are. And that's often the case of horror, too. There are some horror movies that genuinely just, creep me out, or I am able to take the drama seriously. This movie... It's not to say that none of it was I was laughing at the whole time. Not at all. There were scenes that I found genuinely unsettling. The scene where they're executing the witches was executed very well. It was unsettling. You heard their cries and screams in the background going on. You saw
executed
people
well.
Yeah. You saw them burnt, being burnt alive. The one witch in the center was laughing about it at first. She's as the mask's put over her, she's clearly in a lot of distress, and it's oh, and then you see cut back to the guy doing it and his just apathetic face. It's just very well executed scene, very disturbing. I'd say the closing scene was also very unsettling and disturbing, and it's just followed by this quiet news broadcast as the credits play. It definitely gets the dramatic stuff done really well as well. But I can't lie and say there's definitely scenes in this movie where I'm this is goofy as hell, but I love that it's goofy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all works. Even if I don't think every single second of this is just horror all the way to clearly there's some fun to be had here.
Oh yeah, just the banter between some of the main the 3 radio show hosts. That's a lot of fun. I liked those 3 a lot.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
I thought I had many thoughts, and many non-thoughts, just vibes. I pretty much said everything I thought about it. It is spooky. It's okay, you know what? It's a movie it's a scary movie that doesn't make me sad. So, I don't know if I've ever said this on a video or a stream before, but a lot of scary movies don't scare me. They just make me sad. I watch them and I'm oh, this is really sad. I feel really bad. I'll be watching and be man, life is so fragile and fleeting, and they're just dead. This is not one that made me sad. I watched it and I was able to enjoy it.
Okay, a few people died, but
they died, but they were into it. Is the thing.
It makes sense because
I don't want to say it like that. I don't want to say it like that, but it was like this ritualistic, like, for our god.
A very common place for horror movies to go. It makes sense that you would feel that way because it's like you get to know this main, like, you know, in a worst case scenario, you don't care about the main character and you're bored by the movie. But if the movie's good and you enjoy it, you're going to care about the main character. And the way most horror movies go is that that character is going to die or something horrible is going to happen to it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes they're manipulated into doing something horrible, or the world sees them as a monster by the end, even though, or like they're doing bad things without even knowing it. But most of the time, it's just they're gonna die, or everyone they love is gonna die.
A lot of horror movies end with me feeling like, okay, if they're not dead, now they have a lot of PTSD to work through. Like, oh man.
I do think frequently about, like, what does the aftermath of this horror movie look like?
I saw a
Right.
book in Barnes & Noble and I want to go pick it up. I didn't pick it up because I was going there to pick up a different book that I had pre-ordered. But I want to pick up a book called Final Girl Support Group. I was like, oh, that sounds great. I want to read about that. That sounds awesome.
That does sound neat. It's kind of like because I like that. I was about to say, like, what if someone made a movie where, like, all of the horror shit happened off screen and it's just the aftermath, which I feel like probably has been done. That's an idea that I feel like someone has had to have, but it might be like a B movie and not a really popular movie.
Yeah.
I feel like someone's done that. That has to have been done at least once, right? Like the aftermath of a horror movie, just the aftermath of like a movie in general.
I mean, yeah. There are, like, slasher sequels that kind of play into that. Like, some of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies have, like, the final girl from the first film, like, going to therapy and, like, trying to work through what happened in the first film. I love Lords of Salem. I think this is a great movie. I think people started to undervalue Rob Zombie because of Halloween, and then when this came out, no one really, like, gave it fair treatment. And I also think it was a little ahead of its time, because I feel like this belongs in the conversation with, like, Hereditary and The Vivitch and Suspiria. It's like, there were a lot of, like, artsy, cerebral, witchy movies around this time, and Lords of Salem beat them all. This is from 2012.
Okay, I do feel bad whenever that happens, because that happens to directors a lot, where they direct a movie of a beloved franchise, and then they get shit on because of that, even, like, with their work beyond that movie. And sometimes it's like, you know, one, making a bad... At the end of the day, all they really did was made a bad movie that shouldn't haunt them for the rest of their life. But two, sometimes it's not even their fucking fault. I like to think of, like, Rian Johnson with, like... I like The Last Jedi, by the way, but I like to think of Rian Johnson. He went off to do that, and then, like, Knives Out was a great movie, but there were people shitting on it because it's like, oh, he's the guy who made The Last Jedi. Fuck that guy. You know, it's like I hate that. Like, I really wish people... I wish it wasn't like that.
Oh, you made a bad thing? Fuck you for making a good thing now.
It's specifically when it's, like, attached to something beloved, though, too. Like, where it's like, oh, he made a Star Wars movie in the Star Wars fan base, you know, not, like... I'm not to shit on all of them. I'm in the Sonic fan base, and that's you know, that shit happens with that one too. But it's just like a lot of Star Wars fans got, you know, they're very protective over this, like, little series. So that's what happens, and it's unfortunate. And I wish it didn't happen. It happens with anything popular, though. You know, like where if you have the balls to take on a project related to that franchise.
I do think M. Night Shyamalan deserves all the shit he gets for Avatar: The Last Airbender, though, because
that's exception. He didn't even get the names. He couldn't even name the characters.
Well, okay, hold on. If you make a horrible film in the franchise, you deserve to get criticized for the horrible film in the franchise.
Yeah, but not
that
for
should
the
not.
other things
Yeah,
you
that should
make.
not extend to the rest of your body of work.
Yeah.
Shyamalan made good movies in spite of Last
Yes.
Airbender.
Yeah.
And Rob Zombie has made a good movie in spite of Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You know what's something I noticed about this movie?
What?
Including the main character, a lot of white people with dreads. This is a weird thing. I don't know. That's nothing to do with anything else in the movie. I'm just like, huh, that's weird.
Well, it's her and like one of the witches. I think that's it.
No, it's like all the witches, isn't it?
Well,
It's like all of them.
well, a lot of them just have old
Anyway.
lady hair.
I don't think this is a perfect movie. I think it's maybe got a little too much going on. I think it mixes its metaphors just a touch. Cause I feel like on the one hand, there's like a read of the film that's like, oh, these demons, this coven, the witches, all of this is like a metaphor for drug addiction, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was sort of there's sort of that implication throughout. She was addicted to crack, and we like see her in the support group, and then when things go haywire, she's getting crack again.
I think that's more so just to give the movie a nuanced ending than if anything. Like, oh, did this really happen, or is she just on drugs?
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like there's also like I feel like the cult is almost supposed to be seen in like a positive way. Like there's definitely like the undercurrent of like, oh, witches as feminism, right? Like because of course the Salem
Yeah.
witch trials were like an overtly misogynistic thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's sort of playing on that like, yeah, the witches are cool. They're the feminists. They're here to save you from like the weird, terrible patriarchy
And Christ.
and Christ, the deceiver.
I thought it was funny. I don't know why I found it so fucking funny, but that like glowing picture of Jesus, like I don't know, I just found it hilarious. Like that is something some weird Christian old lady would just have in her home. Like it's not a normal picture of Jesus. It's a glowing like spiral light show with Jesus.
Well, then you also have the neon light cross. Like, this is like a Christian bar.
Yeah. I do think I was saying it towards the end. It's weird if you like genuinely believe that Satan is God and God is not the real God and like, oh my God, we're so much better and we're actually the way to eternal life and a better world and everything like that. We're the good guys. But you're doing all this shit that seems genuinely unpleasant for everyone involved. Like, I don't get it. Like, what do you actually believe? Like, it's that same problem I had when we were watching Hellraiser, which is that, like, do the Cenobites actually believe the things that they're saying, or are they just here to fuck people up and then they're just saying shit? Like, that's my confusion. I'm like, do you actually believe in this, you know, Satanism religion that you have going on right now? Or are you just so far gone down this? I mean, that's another read on it. You're so far gone down this idea that you're like, even when the most horrible shit is happening to you, your teeth are rotting, you haven't brushed your hair, you're a mess. And you're clearly not enjoying the time you're spending, you're suffering. But you're just like, yeah, this is cool.
It might be nuanced. It might just be like, becoming the thing that you hated, you know?
That's where I think the heroin addiction metaphor works, the one that you said.
Yes.
Because it's like you're clearly not having a good time worshipping this thing that you claim makes everything so much better, but you're doing it anyway. Like, you're so far gone, you'll accept any sort of torture it gives you.
That is an interesting way to look at it. I didn't think about that before. Yeah, like, there is kind of like this, like dependence on it almost, where it's like, yeah, you're right, like this doesn't seem very pleasant, why would you do it? And it's like, yeah, addiction. And sometimes addiction, you know, like sometimes it's addictive in the sense of a substance, and sometimes it's addiction almost doesn't feel like the right word, but it's just like, this is what you know, this is what you're doing.
Let's talk about the cast a little.
Hell yeah.
Rob Zombie casted his wife, and I see why he did that.
Yeah,
She was great.
I think she works for the role. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Delivered like the quirky radio show talk well, and also delivered the I'm losing my fucking mind, I'm on my last breath acting very well.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely felt sorry for her in a lot of the movie, and but she also had some charisma. The movie kind of gave you a reason.
Yeah.
The movie gave you a reason to care. I like, you
Yeah.
know, like a lot of horror movies have a main cast, A lot of a lot of good horror movies, honestly, have a main character, like have a main cast that aren't that charismatic, but it's like there's something else that keeps you engaged. But this one, yeah, I
Yeah,
liked a lot of the characters in
I
this.
it feels very genuine. It feels like Rob Zombie has largely just written his wife into the movie.
Mm,
Like
yeah,
it feels like this is her, being herself.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And I mean she does have to, like, as the film goes on, there's the deterioration, and I think she does very good with that. But
yeah.
I think when she's like herself, it's like, yeah, that's just kind of Sherry Moon Zombie.
There is something that has been said about acting, that acting is just being. And if you get somebody who has experiences in the role that they are meant to play, that's good casting. Like,
Yeah, typecasting. I mean, not
yeah,
typecasting can be used as a negative phrase too, but I think sometimes
yeah.
I think
No, I
typecasting's a good
think
thing sometimes.
I think there are people who will get like stuck in roles and stuck in always playing the same roles, and that sucks. But I think when you're talking about like, oh hey, this is something you've experienced before in real life, you'd probably be perfect to, bring what's needed to this character, you know what I mean?
There's scenes where she has to like look real. I think her physical acting was good too. There's scenes where she has to look really sick, and I bought it. Not just not just like like it. There's subtle details about it that I really liked, like just like little things in her breath and like her speaking that like it when you want to act sick, anyone can act sick in a way where you're communicating that they're acting sick, but there is like little details that she threw into the performance where I'm like, yeah, this is like pretty convincing actually that she's fucked up right now.
It does feel like she was written for this role, or this role was written for her. Fuck.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about like people ending up in the same roles a lot. Rob Zombie loves to cast like classic horror actors. You've got Ken Foree as her one of the other DJs on the show, famous of course for
The
being
other
in,
Herman.
yeah, the other Herman, famous for being in Dawn of the Dead. He's also in like a lot of Rob Zombie's films. He's in Halloween, so
That
we'll get
is
to see him
something
again.
weird I also noticed. That they're both named Herman. That's not a common name.
I think they're both named after Herman Munster, because Rob Zombie is famously a huge fan of the Munsters.
Oh, Rob Zombie is both their dad? I guess technically,
Didn't
right?
have No, it didn't have a Bela Lugosi voiceover, so points off for that.
It did have some kind of voiceover from something.
It had drama alert at the end.
Jeff Daniel Phillips is the other DJ. He's a little more important to the plot because there's like kind of a romance between him and Sherry Moon Zombie. I think he's kind of supposed to be stand-in for Rob Zombie a little bit.
Perhaps.
Mm.
He kind of looks like Zombie in this. But Rob Zombie likes to do that to his, like, actors. It's just like, yeah, you gotta have long hair and a beard to be in this movie.
Oh, you could be in a Rob Zombie movie.
My beard needs to be shaggier.
But I think he did pretty good. Like
Yeah.
he has like some good banter back and forth with her, and then the scenes where he's like supposed to genuinely care about her, like the final phone call they share. Like, yeah, I bought it. I bought it.
Yeah, no, he does a good he does a good really job. Wow. He does a really good job at like being like just a genuine supportive friend. Like I was worried that he was going to turn out to be like a whole asshole, but no, he's only half an asshole.
And funny enough, I kind of thought that's where they were gonna go with him too. But no, yeah, they were on the line between likable and unlikable, and ended unlikable. I did like Ken. How do you say his last name? Forey?
Forey.
Forey. He was just a character who was there for like like funny lines,
Yeah.
but he delivered them really well, and he sounds like a radio show host, especially for like the genre they're covering. So like he was a lot of fun for me, and kept to an appropriate amount of the movie too. Like he didn't like his scenes were exactly what they needed to be.
This is a second Hollow Victories Out of the Ring appearance for Dee Wallace, who was, of course, the mother in E.T. which is like
Oh,
her one non-horror role. She's very much known for being in horror films.
I recognized her, and I couldn't tell from where. I wonder if I'm thinking of ET though, because she does look different from when she did in ET. So I don't know if ET was what I was thinking about. I do remember seeing her and thinking like, this person. Oh, you know what? It wasn't her actually. It was Judy Geeson, I think, that I thought looked very familiar.
She wasn't in really that much popular outside of this. And then the third witch. The third witch is Patricia Quinn, who is famous as the housekeeper lady in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Magenta.
Right, yeah.
Magenta.
I recognized her too. Yeah, that's probably what I recognized her from.
Well, she's also in Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Oh yeah, that's two bangers.
So Pickles the goat, we all agree, did a fantastic job.
Yeah, the goat. Pickles.
He sure was a good goat.
He was a good goat.
What's the dog's name?
I don't know. I don't know the dog's name.
They didn't name the dog. Oh, I'm happy that the dog didn't die.
Still.
I'm happy that the dog didn't die.
And in real life, the dog probably is dead, but he might not be.
When was this movie made?
2012. So it would have been 11 years ago. So he'd be an old dog, and he was kind of full grown.
He'd be an old dog.
Film.
It is possible. It is possible.
Yeah,
possible.
Yeah.
Bruce Davison is this like book author who like kind of is helping is like kind of tracking down the mystery of the Lords of Salem.
I liked him.
Yeah, I liked him too.
I think he did. I think he was fine. I didn't really have any big thoughts about him.
I think he gave a good performance. I liked the conversations he had with his wife. I liked him breaking down the music that was in the notes that were in the book and the music that played on the show.
In that scene, like his wife is like really tired, and like you can clearly tell she's like, "All right, fine, I'll play your stupid little song for you. You're lucky I love you. Damn."
And it kind of made for a fun dynamic, though,
Yeah.
I do think this movie, maintains personality throughout, you know?
Yes. No, this is not a negative, nor even really a positive thing. It's just an observation.
I was a little sad that he died. I didn't think he deserved that. He's not really, doing anything good or bad. He's just trying to get to the bottom of something. But, he was a fine little character. I enjoyed him. I didn't think he deserved to get his head beat in with a pan.
I really thought they just knocked him out. I didn't...
Well, I mean, they knocked him out, and then they beat him to death with a pan.
Oh, okay. That must have also been a part I was not in the room for.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood on the ground. He didn't live. They even said, he was a waste of a man. Oh, I also like the scene where he goes and talks to other book author, just a skeptic book author, oh, it's ridiculous. He's describing exactly what really happened. Oh, it's ridiculous. They thought this. I want to play that character in a movie. Can you believe they said this? Yeah, I'm just describing the actual lore of the universe while down it the whole time. And then they had the audacity to say this. It's insane. I want to play that character, but I also want a scene where he learns the truth and he's like, what? And then I'll die a happy man.
He finds out the truth. He's just like, it's so stupid.
Doug Walker played the lead of the Lords.
He didn't play the lead of the Lord. It was some Swedish death metal band they have on at the very beginning of the movie.
Oh,
it wasn't the Lords. It was a different band.
You're right. That was the Three Witches. I don't know why I said the Lords. I forget the name of his band.
Yeah, I don't remember. Cool music video.
Yeah,
and he's spouting some crazy shit like a Norwegian death metal musician should.
We love us a Norwegian death metal band.
Well,
wait, did you say Swedish or Norwegian? I think you said both.
Yeah, whichever.
Who was the actor? Since I've said Doug Walker multiple times, who was the actual actor for that guy?
That's a good question.
Well, it wasn't John Five, was it? Because John Five was one of the people who did music, but he's also credited as a character.
I knew he had an accent, but I could not place it. And Sage probably could. Sage is good at identifying accents. It's weird.
It might have been Torsten Voges. Whoa! The King of Hall of Victories was in this. I didn't even... Who did he
What?
play? Clint Howard played Carlo.
Yeah, uncredited. He might... I don't know if he, like, appeared on screen, even.
Was he the guy on the phone?
He might have been.
Clint Howard, you beautiful bastard. You're on both shows now.
Hooray, Clint Howard!
I don't want anyone to beat Clint Howard. I want him to stay the king.
If this gets popular, I want you guys to get popular enough to where you can have Clint Howard on the show. And you can just be like, hey, it's the king, he's here.
I do have good news about what movie he's in.
What?
He is in Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh!
The king lives on!
So how many movies is this now?
That'll be 4 for him.
4. 4 for Clint.
Clint Howard may be the number 1 actor who showed up on Hall of Victories, but we've liked... I don't think he's given a bad performance for Hall of Victories yet. I think he's done good in all the movies he's been in.
The best at being in bad movies.
I mean,
Yeah.
granted, I think his performance in Rhapsody Street Kids was on par with the rest of that movie.
I forgot that Rhapsody Straight Kids was the other movie he was in.
Yeah. But he's been good on everything else.
Best at being in bad movies.
Oh, yeah, I'll get the Grinch and Barbed Wire. He was good in those.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Lords of Salem?
I really liked the music a lot. Like, a lot of it's just, like, music that you'll hear in a lot of movies. But the theme that they actually have for the record they played, the from Lords of Salem, that it was very unsettling, and they have different renditions of it throughout the movie, like just the kind of the creepy record, but then also something more of an orchestra for it. I think they had a lot of fun with that track, and it had a lot of really good payoffs. Go ahead, Mitzi.
That music has definitely played in my haunt before. That theme has definitely been in my haunt before.
Oh, neat. But yeah, I think that music was definitely props. Cinematography-wise, just to name a few shots that I especially loved. All of the fucking theater shots at the end looked stellar.
Oh yeah, no, when it just goes like totally weird at the end, beautifully shot.
I will call out Prime for one thing, and it might even be IMDb through Prime that did this. One of the facts was there was no digital effects in the movie. And throughout most of it, I believe that 100%. It looks like they did a lot of practical lighting. It looked like they did a lot of practical makeup and effects. That end of yeah, they did digital effects in that. They literally used the fucking, what's the effect called? It's the Photoshop effect where you fucking alter people's faces. Like, no, they did not actually film that, you fucking liar. That was a digital effect. You're full of shit. It's a digital effect, and it was a digital effect they did like 30 different times in that montage. You are lying. But
maybe they're not lying. Maybe they're just stupid.
They're probably just stupid. But most of it looked very practical, which is another thing I appreciate. Not, digital effects, they have their place. I appreciate a good practical effect.
All the weird, creepy monster shit is practical.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. And the lighting was beautiful throughout the movie.
Why is Bigfoot there?
I don't think it was Bigfoot specifically. Sort of a big hairy beast. It looks
like Bigfoot, though.
Kind of like a demon-looking creature, I guess, is what they were going for.
It even has big feet. It's a Bigfoot, though.
He did have big feet. That is true.
Haven't you ever seen Night of the Demon? Bigfoot is a demon.
Oh, that's
Demon
nice.
goes to church every Sunday. But, I really liked the lighting in the movie. Like, the fire scene with, the witches at the beginning of the movie, the theater. There's some shots just in that hallway where they're focusing on the door 5, but you see the hallway and they have, good symmetry in the shot, where it's, creating a really appealing effect, but they also have, a lot of, I don't know, something about the light, and there's, a lot of creepy glow going off of, certain parts of the wall, a lot of reflection. It just looked really stellar. I think that this movie visually is one of the best I've seen in a while. And I know I'm talking about an old movie. I'm not talking about something that just came out, but it's just just in general, it was super well made. I think almost every shot in this movie would be one more if I was filming something and then it came out looking that good. I'd be like, oh, that's a fucking... I would just be Me and my buddy Tariq, whenever we get like a good shot, and I mean a really good shot, it just makes our fucking day. And I feel like this movie's full of those.
That's a shot I would fuck.
I would fuck that shot.
I'm glad to add that into your vocabulary.
I appreciate a lot about this movie, honestly. And I will say, the writing was probably my least favorite part of it. Not bad, not poorly written at all.
No.
But its presentation, and I don't just mean shots. I mean like the color grading, the acting, the the set design was really good in this movie. Holy shit, there were so many good fucking sets in this movie. It was very creative, it was very imaginative. I really liked it, and yes, there were parts where I think I was supposed to be taking it seriously where I laughed, but who fucking cares? It's a horror movie. Go fucking wild. That's gonna happen. And for every single scene, if you do a really good job, for every scene that I'm laughing at it, there will be something that genuinely creeps me out. So kudos. I really liked this. I'm glad that since I'm going to be talking about Rob Zombie in this next Hall of Victories episode, I'm glad I started his filmography with something that I really enjoyed.
Hooray!
Yeah. I don't know, maybe you'd like House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects. I kind of doubt you'd like any of his other movies, though.
We'll see.
Did you have anything else to say?
Happy Halloween! Hooray!
Yeah, happy Halloween. This is like a perfect metal-ween pick. This movie's metal as fuck.
I will say, and just because I've said this before, 5.2 on IMDb and 48% on Rotten Tomatoes is insane to me. Like, I here's the thing. If they were both at like a 6 or a 7, I would be like, sure. I might put it at an 8. But sure, I that's reasonable. Like below above average is weird to me because like what did you go into this wanting? I don't know. It's just like it felt like a movie that accomplished its goals well, you know?
Yeah. We should maybe say there's like maybe like a touch of excessive nudity. Not even too much. I think some of the scenes where there's nudity, it's like, yeah, there needed to be nudity in this scene. But I think there's a spotter. Like when she's playing the record and one of the women who gets like distracted by it is just completely naked. It's like, I don't know that was necessary, but okay.
Probably not.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what people were upset about with this. I think this is an exceptionally well-made movie. Brilliant movie.
Yeah, I guess for me it's just like, you know, if it's just people don't want something, because it is a little bit silly at points, if people just don't want something silly, I guess, but it's like, then why are there so many movies equally as silly as this one that got high ratings?
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I feel like it's probably the same thing with The Thing back then. We were talking about that before watching this. Why did the original The Thing, not the one we're watching for Hall of Victories, have bad reviews when it first came out? I think it might be a bandwagon thing. Maybe that's like not even that good of an observation.
It's because a bunch of critics pee-peed their pants in the theater, and they were like, I can't let anybody know I pee-peed my pants. I can't. I gotta give this movie a bad review to distract from the pee in my pants.
I like that version more, so we'll just stick with that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people just like, sometimes people are afraid to defend a movie that they think they're going to be like insulted for liking, so they just kind of go with the flow, and it's like, it's okay. I don't know. Like
Michael,
as someone who's okay,
I'm about to give you a little lesson on life. That's everything. Not just
I guess
movies.
so, but it's I guess so, and I think part of me already knows that, and I'm saying it as if it's this like, oh, this great observation I had. Yeah, of course that happens, but it's just like, okay, this movie came out in 2013. From here on out, from this day on, can we just be done with that? Can we actually get like a fair balance with a movie where it's like, it's okay. I don't know. I feel like with how much people shout at each other nowadays, we should just be saying fuck other people's opinions. I think it's okay to criticize a movie, by the way. I think it's okay to not like a movie, but there's times where I just don't understand the reception of a movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, we need to. One of the things that needs to stop is people thinking that they can review movies that they haven't fucking seen. Like,
I do that every week. No, I don't.
You do not, Michael. You hate that too.
I know, yeah, no, Marriage Story. Oh my god. No, me and my friend Me and my buddy Tariq have this like running joke where we say like there was this like video where someone, and it was a joke video by the way, so this isn't real, but they gave Suicide Squad a 0 out of 100 about watching it. So we'll just do that all the time with a movie. We're just like, I give it a 0 out of 100. I never saw it.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, you like if a movie gets like too highly praised, you will get the people like, "Oh, this movie sucks," just because like everyone likes it.
Mm-hmm.
That does happen too.
There's the people who absolutely need to be in the herd, and there's people who absolutely need to be out of it, despite what their actual thoughts and feelings are. And I think that's worse. I think that's worse.
Why?
It's like if you're outside of the norm. If you're outside of the majority, that's fine. If you're inside the majority, that's fine. But hating one or the other just fucking because is so fucking stupid to me.
But why get Parasite win when there was a perfectly good Joker? Anyone remembers that guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you... did he sound like Peter Griffin?
A little bit.
Hey, Lois, remember the time Parasite beat Joker at the Oscars?
I like Michael's better.
His whole stance was a movie that's nominated for Best Foreign Film should not also be up for Best Picture, and it's like, that's not a intelligent take at all.
I kind of think it should be the other way around. I think if you're a foreign language film that gets nominated for Best Picture, you should be excluded from the Best Foreign Film category.
I don't disagree with that, because it's like, yeah, of course
sense.
You're gonna win.
We already know.
Yeah, of course you're gonna win. I agree with that. Yeah, I think the guy had it backwards. I guess it's a little mean to rag on a guy for something that happened 3 years ago, but at the same time, he then made a video doubling down on it. Where it's like, all right.
Anyway,
I don't think we've talked about Lord of Salem's for a while now.
Mm-hmm. Let's go watch some cartoons, everybody.
I need to watch a good cartoon right now.
That's what I do after I watch something scary. Is I watch something lighthearted. Get my mind off it before I sleep.
Good night, everybody. Have sweet dreams. If you're not watching this at night, pause the video and wait till it's nighttime and then finish the video.
Yeah, good night. We want to tuck you in. Good night. Have sweet dreams.
Good night.
I'll offer you a little bit of if you hit pause. If you hit pause, I'm offering a little bit of extra content for when you get back right now. Bibbidi boobidi boo. Haha, that's the end.